So that's the first part. Become a product of the product. The second component, build your list. Start building your list. And you'll start it and you'll continue building your list forever. When you have a traditional business, it's required a lot of capital to get started, whether it's buildings, supplies, inventory, personnel, websites, business plans, this and that. You're required to have a lot of capital just to get started. In this business, your number one capital is your list. Who you know, and more importantly, who you are willing to meet and attract into your world. Your list should only be as big and as long as your dreams and goals. When you're making your list, do not judge negatively. Don't worry about what somebody did or didn't do, say or didn't say, where they might be in their mind. The only people you do not include on your list are people who you just absolutely do not want to be associated with. But even those people, if you were hungry enough and realized the potential and understood who they might possibly know and be willing to connect you with, you'd put them down there too. But don't worry about what you're going to say, when you're going to say it, how it's going to, don't worry about any of that stuff. Just build a list. And my strongest recommendation, I'll say a few things, and in passing, you can take a hint that they're a recommendation, and some things I don't want you to miss. So it is my strongest recommendation that you make a list of at least 100 people. But this is going to depend, this is really your first test on how badly you really want what you told your sponsor and your success coach, how badly you really want those things. Are you willing to sit down and carve out 30 minutes, an hour, a couple of hours, the rest of your life here and there to build and continue to build your list? Because that is your capital. Because remember the main thing, proper exposure is what's going to determine your business. Your willingness and ability to properly expose enough people enough times in a short period of time to identify those few people who will allow us to help them. Because exposure is everything, and you can't expose people if they're not on your list. So write a list, and this is old school time. On a piece, it'll eventually get digital, and you'll put it in your computer and on your phone, and we have a great tool called Rapid Funnel I'll talk about in just a minute. But initially, in the beginning, old school, on a piece of paper, names and numbers. If you don't have their number, just put their name down so you can remember them, and you'll find some type of contact information. That's how this thing works. Just put it down. Make a list. And if you're serious, you'll have a list of at least 100 within 24 hours. And then when you're listed, don't start calling people. Don't start contacting them. Don't tell them about this opportunity and you're going to get rich, or they want to try this product because it's amazing. Once you complete your list, get back to your success coach and say, Coach, I got my list. Now what do I do? That is the teachable and coachable person who will be the most successful. Start this. I'm going to spend a little more time on the list part of the 4 components because it's so important to the kickoff, the launch of your business. So much of this business is mental, is psychology. Understand going in what the numbers are, what the odds are, what most people will do, and what most people won't do. Guess what most people won't do? Most people won't want to be a part of your business. Most people will not be your customer long term, or maybe even once. That's what but guess what? That's okay, because there are enough people out there who will want to try your product and become your customer. There are enough people out there who are serious enough about their dreams and goals and understand the value of the organic opportunity. You have more than enough. So just understand, I was talking to somebody yesterday to really help them understand the concept. And the concept was, it's kind of hard these days because it doesn't happen, I don't think, at all now. but even recently, if you're on an airplane back in the day, the flight attendants used to have a tray. And on the tray used to be coffee and water. And they'd already prepare it. And they'd talk to every single person. Would you like some coffee? Would you like some coffee? Would you like some water? Would you like some water? And they smiled. They went to each person, and some people said yes, some people said no. And the answer did nothing emotionally to the flight attendant because they realized that some will and some won't, and that's okay. So that's the mindset you have to have going into this. We have a saying in this industry, in this business, in this company. Those people who you think will, won't. Those people who you think won't, will. It's not your responsibility to understand who is going to get this, who's going to accept it, and who's going to run with you. But it's your responsibility to put those names on a piece of paper and reach out to them properly when the time is right. But the first step, make your list. It's always good to understand who you're looking for in order to attract them and to find them. So who are we looking for? What type of people are the most successful in this business typically? There's something called a forward checker. A forward checker is somebody who's a go-getter. They are self-motivated. They have initiative. That's the person that you want. You know the kind of person. The person doesn't wait to be asked. They're the ones who will look it up. They're the ones who will just do it. They're the ones who don't wait around. Those type of people. If you're thinking about somebody, write their name down right now before it pops back out. You're looking for people who have a center of influence. This doesn't mean that they're necessarily successful or rich or have any official titles. It just means if they were going to throw a birthday party or a Super Bowl party or a quinceañera or some type of gathering, or if they said, hey, there's something I want you to try, they'd try it. That person is a center of influence. Sometimes it's a soccer mom, it's a beautician, it's a realtor, it's a pastor, it's just a regular person, but they just have that quality where people like them and they trust them and they'd be willing just to take a look at what they recommend. Teachable and coachable. That really just means that you have a humble spirit, that you don't think you know everything. Kind of like I was in the beginning. Not teachable and coachable, the other side. People who would come into something like this and on the first day say something like, I have an idea. How about you hold the idea just for a minute and allow us to share you a proven system of success that generated over $2 billion in the last decade. Teachable and coachable. You don't necessarily have to agree or even understand with what your success coach is saying, especially when that success coach does not get paid or compensated unless you are successful. That's the best type of advice to receive. Some people say you shouldn't get advice from people you don't pay, but it's even better if you accept advice from people who only get paid if the advice works. That's this situation. So you're looking for people who have a humble spirit, who respect expertise and excellence, no matter where the voice is coming from, how young they are, what they look like, any of that stuff. If they've achieved the result and they're willing to share with you what the secret sauce is, are you willing to run the play? We're looking for people who are teachable and coachable. And we're looking for people who are able to get started financially. Definitely don't have to have a lot of money, but they have to have a little. So those are the four checkers. There's something called a 5-pointer. This is more demographic. And what I'm going through right now is just to soften the soil and get you to start to think about people. 5 pointers. Once again, typically people who are the most successful long-term. People who are married, people who have homes, not really a home, they have a mortgage. People who have children, 25 years or older, $50,000 or so of income. In other words, people who have responsibility, people who have obligations, people have to worry about education and college and weddings, people who are somewhat mature, people have a little bit of money coming in, but not enough. Those people. So think about those 4 checkers and 5 pointers And once again, even if someone's just a one checker or a no checker, you still put their names down. But once you get your initial list done, the first thing we'll teach you to do is to prioritize those lists so we can talk to the right people in the right order. When you do your list properly, your list will be so big that you literally will not be able to contact everybody. But it won't be because you were afraid or you weren't doing the work. Now, I won't go through these two lists. In your resources, I don't think it's in the back office anymore. I think it's in OG Academy. There's something called a list builder. And basically just reminds you of the people who you know. And once again, it doesn't matter if you haven't talked to them for a while, doesn't matter if you're not really close. Oftentimes those people are more likely to be open anyway. And just for the record, the list that you're looking at right now, these aren't people, these are categories. So for every category, whether it's neighbors or family members or nurses or part-time workers or pastors, these are groups of people, people who you trust. These are groups of people who you know and possibly support right now who would be going on your list. Build your list. I'm not even going to go through this. What you're really looking for at the end of the day, we want to have people receive the information that we share with them with an open mind and an open heart. Because while this business is mostly psychology and emotion, life and business is all about timing. And we have to get on people's radar because we never know what's going on in somebody's life, and we never know when they're looking, whether they're doing something else already or whether we think they are doing extremely well. You never know what obligations they have, what health challenges they have, who they're responsible for, what's really going on in work and business. You never know. But we're looking for people with an open mind